Every single event that occurs in our lives can be grouped into one and only one of the following categories. Things that we have no control over, like if a flight gets delayed or if it rains tomorrow. Things that we have complete control over, like our goals and our values. And then there are things in between that we have some but not complete control over, like if we get a raise at work or if we live a long and healthy life. Stressing over things that we have no control over is a waste of time and the cause of needless anxiety. It makes much more sense to spend our time and effort on things that we have at least some control over. This principle is known as the Trichotomy of Control and originates from Stoicism, which is an ancient Greek philosophy that sadly flies under the radar for most people and is grossly misunderstood as a philosophy for pessimists. The Trichotomy of Control is one of 3 Stoic psychological techniques covered in this video that can help us achieve tranquility and minimize the effects of negative emotions. So let's begin with the first psychological technique of negative visualization. One of the biggest flaws of the human mind is the overwhelming tendency to take the things and people in our lives for granted. We fantasize of buying a new car, having a higher paying job, finding a more attractive partner, all with the false belief that obtaining the objects of our desire will bring us lasting satisfaction. But after working hard to get what we want, we routinely lose interest in all of these things. This phenomenon is known as hedonic adaptation and is a major cause of our unhappiness. This was perfectly illustrated in a 2008 study which showed that those who win a lottery after an initial period of euphoria end up about as happy as they previously were before winning the lottery. Once we obtain the object of our desire, we quickly adapt to its presence in our lives and start to take them for granted. This applies to how we view our friends, our possessions, our jobs, even our partners. But there's a solution to this by the Stoics, and it's called negative visualization, or premeditatio malorum, which translates to the premeditation of evils. This idea was championed by Seneca, one of the great Roman Stoics. Through negative visualization, we learn to appreciate the people and things in our lives and really embrace the lives that we are already living. And we do so by visualizing possible negative outcomes. We can imagine a parent passing away, a home being destroyed by a natural disaster, or never seeing a close friend again after she moves to another country to pursue a career. We could even contemplate the loss of our own life, which suddenly makes our lives seem more valuable. Negative visualization reverses the process of hedonic adaptation and turns the seemingly mundane into objects that we deeply cherish. The tendency to take life for granted and the failure to appreciate the people and things in our lives is a lifelong battle that affects almost everyone, and negative visualization is one of the few effective ways to win this battle. Stressing about things that we cannot control is one of the greatest causes of our anxiety. But we can overcome this through a powerful psychological Stoic technique known as the Trichotomy of Control, where we sort every single event in our lives into one of the following 3 categories: those that we have complete control over, those that we have no control over, and those that we have partial control over. We should put no time and effort in thinking about things over which we have no control over, since nothing we can do will influence their outcome. This is crucial because when we realize that there's no point of stressing over what we can't control, it drastically reduces our stress and anxiety that we feel. Instead, we should spend our time and effort dealing with things over which we have complete control over and those that we have partial control over. And it's important to appreciate the difference between these latter 2 categories. Our goals and our values fall into the category of things that we have complete control over. So it makes sense to spend time and energy in defining our values and setting appropriate goals for ourselves. And we should take this seriously, because when we define our values and set our goals based on them, we no longer measure ourselves by the expectations of others. But perhaps the most important part of the Trichotomy of Control are the things over which we have some but not complete control over, because this is where the vast majority of the things that we care about fall within. Examples of such events include if we succeed in our career, if we find love, and if we remain healthy as we age. According to Stoicism, when it comes to events over which we have partial control over, we should set internal rather than external goals. This is especially important when the likelihood of failure is high, such as if your goal is to win the Nobel Prize or to become a best-selling author. When we set internal goals, like to do the best that we can with our ability, the likelihood of success is much higher. Rather than aiming to become a best-selling author, the goal may be to spend at least an hour every day working on a manuscript. Rather than hoping others like us, the goal may be to be kind and to act with integrity. Choosing internal rather than external goals helps us avoid frustration and disappointment if the events in the external world don't fall in our favor. It gives us the ability to maintain tranquility, independent of external circumstances which are inherently unpredictable. Interactions with other people can be some of the greatest sources of our joy, but also our misery. On one hand, we have friendships and love, but on the other hand, people tend towards greed and laziness and always seem to find ways to annoy us. A coworker may insult us. A friend may make us sad by forgetting our birthday. We feel envy for those who have achieved greater career success. But here's a key takeaway when dealing with others. We should accept the fact that our fellow human, the world for that matter, can be unfair and unreasonable. Marcus Aurelius explains that as we should not be surprised that a fig tree produces figs. Similarly, we should not be angered by people for demonstrating their deeply ingrained habits. The goal of a Stoic is to live in accordance with nature, to see the world as it really is, not according to our expectations. And with this perspective, a true Stoic cannot be disappointed. Central to the Stoic philosophy is a collection of psychological techniques underpinned by logic and a relatively sophisticated understanding of human psychology. The most valuable of these techniques include negative visualization, which helps us gain a deep appreciation for the people and things in our lives, and escape from being stuck in our default mode of chasing an endless cycle of never-ending goals. The second Stoic psychological technique we covered was the Trichotomy of Control, which helps us avoid the needless anxiety that comes with worrying about things beyond our control. The Stoics remind us that it is foolish to get upset about things beyond our control, and much more logical and better for our mental well-being to focus on things that we can control either completely or partially. And when it comes to things that we have only partial control over, it would be wise to set internal rather than external goals. Finally, we can save ourselves from repeated disappointments if we can learn to adjust our expectations of others and the world around us to live in accordance with nature. I hope you found this helpful. Thanks for watching.